Let's start. So this is the second lecture. Title for this lecture: word roots. Right? Okay, let's carry on. So, talking about what's word roots. Many English words and word elements can be traced back to Latin and Greek. Often you can guess the meaning of an unfamiliar word if you know the meaning. A word root is a part of a word. It contains the core meaning of the word, but it cannot stand alone. A prefix is also a word part that cannot stand alone. It is placed at the beginning of a word to change its meaning. A suffix is a word part that is placed at the end of a word to change its meaning. Often, you can guess the meaning of an unfamiliar word if you know the meaning of its parts. That is, the root and any prefixes or suffixes that are attached to it. Right? Now, common word roots. If we say this is the root, this is the meaning of the root, this is an example, and this is the definition, the explanation. Right? For the first we see here, first root, agree. Meaning, it means field. Example, agronomy. Definition, for agronomy of course. Field, crop production and soil management. Right? Anthropo, the meaning means man. Example, anthropology. The definition for the whole of this word, the study of man. Astro, it means a star. Example, astronaut. Definition, one who travels in interplanetary, right, space. Bio, the meaning life. Example, biology. The definition for biology, the study of life. Cardio, it means heart. Example, cardiac. Definition, pertaining to the heart. Right? Seed, the meaning go. Example, precede. Definition, to go before. Chrome, meaning color. Example, chromatology. Definition, the science of colors. Demos, meaning people. Example, democracy. The definition for democracy, government by the people. Root, derma, meaning skin. Example, epidermis. The definition for epidermis, the outer layer of skin. Root, dina, meaning power. Example, dynamic. Definition for dynamic, characterized by power and energy. The root, geo, meaning earth. Example, geology. Definition for this, for geology, the study of the earth. Root, helio, the meaning sun. Example, heliotrope. Definition for heliotrope, any plant that turns toward the sun. The root, hydro, meaning water. Example, hydroponics. Right? Definition for hydroponics, growing of plants in water reinforced with nutrients. Root, hypno, meaning sleep. Example, hypnosis. The definition for this: a state of sleep induced by suggestion. Root ject, meaning throw. Example: eject. Definition for eject: to throw out. Root magni, meaning great or big. Example: magnify. Definition for magnify: to enlarge, to enlarge, or to make bigger. If it is big, to make bigger. If it is great, to enlarge it. Root man, and sometimes plus letter U, manu, meaning hand. Example for the use: manuscript. Definition: written by hand. Root mono. The meaning for mono: one. Example for the use: monoplane. Definition: airplane with one wing. We carry on. The root ortho, meaning straight. Example for the use: orthodox. Definition: it means right or true or straight opinion. Root pod, meaning foot. Example: pseudopt or pseudopt. Pseudopt. Definition: false foot. Root psycho. The meaning mind. Example for the use: psychology. The definition for psychology: study of the mind in any of its aspects. Root pyro. The meaning fire. Example: pyrometer. The definition for pyrometer: an instrument for measuring temperatures. Root script, meaning right. Example: manuscript. Definition: handwritten. Root terra, meaning earth. Example: terrace. Definition: a raised platform of earth. A root thermo, it means heat. Example for this: thermometer. Definition for thermometer: instrument for measuring heat. A root zoo, meaning animal. Example: zoology. Definition: the study of animals. Now, common prefixes that we usually use. The root for common prefixes: anti, it means before. Example for the use for this prefix: antebellum. Definition for antebellum: before the war. Right here, anti with E, anti with I. The means here with I: against. Example: antifreeze. Definition for antifreeze: liquid used to guard against freezing. A root as a prefix: auto. The meaning for auto: self. Example: automatic. Definition for automatic: self-acting or self-regulating. Another common prefix as a root: bene. The meaning: good. Example: benefit. The definition for benefit: an act of kindness or a gift. A root for this prefix: circum. The meaning is around. Example: circumscribe. Circumscribe. Definition for circumscribe: to draw a line around or to encircle. Another prefix root, contra. It means against. Right? Example, contradict. Definition for contradict, to speak against. Another example for prefix root, D. The meaning, if we find it, it means reverse or remove. Example, we find it in defoliate. Here we have the prefix D, defoliate. Definition for defoliate, remove the leaves from a tree. Another prefix root, dis. The meaning for this, apart. Example for the use, dislocate. Definition for dislocate, to unlodge. Another example for prefix root, dis with Y. The meaning, bad. Example for the use, dysfunctional. Definition for dysfunctional, not functioning. Another prefix root here, ecto. It means outside. Example for the use, ectoparasite. Ectoparasite. The definition for this, parasite living on the exterior of animals. Another prefix root, endo. Right? The meaning, within. Example for the use, endogamy. Definition for this, marriage within the tribe. Another prefix root, ex. It means out. Example for the use, excavate. Excavate. Definition for excavate, to dig out. Another prefix root, equi, with I here. The meaning, equal. It means equal. Example for the use, equidistant. Equidistant. The definition for equidistant, it means equal distance. Another prefix root, extra. It means beyond. Example for the use, extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial. Terrestrial. The definition for this, beyond the earth. Another prefix root, hyper. The meaning, over. Example for this, hypertension. The definition for hypertension, it means high blood pressure. Another prefix root, hypo. It means under. Example for the use, hypotension. The meaning, hypotension, low blood pressure. So they are opposite each other, hyper and hypo. Another prefix root, in. The meaning, in. Example, interim. The definition for interim, in between. Another prefix root, inter. It means between. Example, intervene. Definition, come between. Common prefixes. Here again we have root, meaning, example, and definition. Prefix root, intra. The meaning is within. The meaning is within, sorry. Example, intramural. Right? The definition, within bonds of a school. Another prefix root, intro. It means in or into. Example for the use, introspect. Definition, to look or to look within or as one's own mind. Right? Another prefix root, macro. The meaning, large. Example for this prefix root, Macroscopic. Definition: large enough to be observed by the naked eye. Another prefix root: mal. It means bad. Example for the use: maladjusted. Maladjusted. Definition means badly adjusted. Another prefix root: micro. The meaning: small. Example for the use: microscopic. Definition: so small that one needs a microscope to observe. Prefix root: multi. It means many. Example for the use: multimillionaire. Definition for this: one having $2 or more million. Another prefix root: new. It means new. Example for the use: Neolithic. Example: New Stone Age. Root or another prefix root: none, meaning not. Example for the use: nonconformist. Nonconformist. The definition for nonconformist: one who doesn't conform. One who doesn't conform. Another prefix root: pan. It means all. Example for the use for this root: pantheon. The definition: a temple dedicated to all gods. It's a temple. Pantheon. Another prefix root: poly. The meaning: many. Right? As an example for this use: polygonal. Definition for polygonal: having many sides. Another prefix root: post. The meaning: after. Example for the use for the root: postgraduate. The definition: after graduating. Prefix root: pre. It means before. Example for the use: precede. The definition: to go before. Prefix root: pro. The meaning: for. Example for the root or for the use for the root: proponent. Proponent. The definition: a supporter. Another example for a prefix root: proto. It means first. The example for the use: prototype. Definition: first or original model. Another example for prefix root: pseudo. It means false. An example for the use for the root: pseudonym. 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 It means, or the definition, false name. Especially an author's pen name. Prefix root: re and red. It means back again. Example for the use: rejuvenate. Rejuvenate. It means to make young. Another prefix root, again, re and red, but the meaning here: together. An example for the use: reconnect. Definition: to put together again. Another prefix root: retro. It means backward. Example for the use: retrospect. Definition: a looking back on things. Another prefix root: semi. It means half. An example for the use for the root: semicircle. Semicircle. It means half a circle. Another prefix root: sub. It means under. Example for the use for the root: submerge. Definition: it means to put under water. Prefix root: sober. It means above. Example for the root: super fine. Definition: extra fine. Another prefix root: tele. It means far. Example for the use of the root: telescope. Definition for telescope: seeing or viewing afar. Prefix root: chance. It means across. Example for the use: transalpine. Transalpine. Transalpine, yeah. Definition for transalpine: across the Alps. Now, here we are having now prefixes that mean no, like prefix A at the beginning, or D with E, or this with S here, or prefix with in, or prefix with non, or prefix with on, or prefix with contra. Examples here: disqualify, the prefix here, dis, this one. It means no. It's not qualified. Prefix with none here. Nondescript. Here we see the prefix none. Nondescript. Or a prefix with un. Unscrupulous. Or an example with prefix contra. Contra here. Contra. The word contradict. Or prefix with in. Inadvertent. Inadvertent. Right? Now, let's have the examples in a chart or in a table here. So if we have a prefix with a or a prefix with a and, so it means without or not. Example for these two prefixes: asexual, atypical, or amoral, or anarchy. With an here, anarchy. Prefix with D. The meaning: it means reverse action or away. Example for the use for this prefix: defrost, demystify, demystify, or desensitize, desensitize, and deduct. All these with the prefix D, de. Prefix dis, or dis, or prefix with def, dif, or a prefix with di only. So again, the meaning not or a part. So most of or all of these prefixes give us the meaning as if the meaning was with no. Example: dissatisfied. It means not satisfied. Right? Disorganized. It means not organized. Different. Right? It means not the same. Divert. Right? Here with I. di. Right? Now prefixes with in, or prefix with il or it or im. So again, the meaning not. Example for the use: inappropriate, 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 right? Invisible. Now with ill, illegal, not legal. Impossible, not possible, not visible here, not appropriate. Right? Prefix none. Again, the meaning is not. Right? Example for the use for this prefix: non-productive, non-essential, nonsense. Prefix with un. Again, the meaning is not. Example for the use for this prefix: unlikely, unnoticeable, unreliable. Prefix with contra, or prefix with counter. Let's see. It means against, or not with you, or not with the person. It means against. Example for the use for these two prefixes: contrary, contradict with contra. Now with counter: counterproductive, counterproductive. It means not productive maybe, or against producing. Right? Now we talk about prefixes again. Prefixes that indicate when, where, or more. Maybe the meaning is when, for time, or for a place, or maybe for more. Right? Prefixes like pre, or post, anti, or inter, or infra, or traps, or sub, or circum, or ultra. Right? Examples for these prefixes: permator, postscript, anteroom, intervene, transformation. Now, in a chart, in a table, prefix. The prefix pre and pro. The meaning is before. Right? Example for the use for these prefixes: pre-dinner, it means before dinner. Preliminary, previous, prologue. Right. Prefix post, it means after. Example for the use for this prefix: post-war, it means after the war. Post-operative, maybe after operation. Postpone, it means after the time, or after the fixed time before. We say postpone, it means after. Now prefix anti with E, it means before now. If we say post is after, anti is before. So they are opposite each other. Example for this prefix: antecedent. Another example: antechamber. Right? Now the prefix inter, it means between or among. Example for the use of the prefix: interstate, intercept, interfere. Right? Another prefix: intra, it means within. Example for the use: intramural, or sorry, intramural, intrastate, intravenous. Right? Another prefix: trans, it means across. Example for the use: transcontinental, it means across the continents. Transparent, transaction. Prefix sub, the meaning under. Example for the use of the prefix: submarine, and submerge, and subjugate. Right? Subjugate. Prefix circum, it means around. The example for the use for the root, or for the prefix: circumnavigate, circumnavigate. Right? Another use, another example: circumference. Another prefix: ultra, it means beyond, on the far side of, or excessive. Example for the use of the prefix: ultrasonic, ultraviolet, and ultra-conservative. Now, here we talk about roots, Latin roots, prefixes and suffixes. Latin was the language spoken by the ancient Romans. As the Romans conquered most of Europe, the Latin language spread throughout the region. Over time, the Latin spoken in different areas developed into separate languages, including Italian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Sorry for these spaces, maybe because of the different word which I was using to write. So Latin was the language spoken by the ancient Romans, here, up to here, and not here. We don't stop here. As the Romans conquered most of Europe, the Latin language spread throughout the region, up to here. Over time, the Latin spoken in different areas developed into separate languages, including Italian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Now, these languages are considered sisters, as they all descended from Latin, their mother language. In 1066, England was conquered by William, Duke of Normandy, which is in northern France. For several hundred years after the Norman invasion, French was the language of court and polite society in England. It was during this period that many French words were borrowed into English. Linguists estimate that some 60% of our common everyday vocabulary today comes from French. So more than English, let's say English or original English words. More than, it means 60% of English words come from French. Thus, many Latin words came into English indirectly through French. Many Latin words came into English directly, though too. Monks from Rome brought religious vocabulary as well as Christianity to England beginning in the 6th century. From the Middle Ages onward, many scientific, scholarly and legal terms were borrowed from Latin. During the 17th and 18th centuries, dictionary writers and grammarians generally felt that English was an imperfect language, whereas Latin was perfect. In order to improve the language, they deliberately made up a lot of English words from Latin words. For example, fraternity from Latin, fraternitas, right, was thought to be better than the native English word brotherhood. Many English words and word parts can be traced back to Latin and Greek. The following table lists some common Latin roots. Now we talk about the Latin roots for English words, right? Or the roots for a lot of English words, right? In this list. Let's start. Now the Latin root dict. Basic meaning, it means to say. Example for the use for this Latin root: contradict, dictate, diction, edict, predict. So it means to say. We find this Latin root here. Dict here, dict here, dict here, dict here, and dict here. A Latin root, duc. The meaning is to lead or bring or take. Example for the use for the Latin root: deduce, produce, reduce. Latin root, gress. It means to walk. Example as a word, English word: digress, progress, transgress. So these examples are in English language these days. Latin root, ject. It means to throw. Example for to find it in English words today: eject, inject, interject, project, reject, subject. Right. A Latin root, pel. It means to drive. Example for these days English words: compel, dispel, impel, rebel. To drive or to lead. Right. Latin root, pend. It means to hang. Example of these days English words: append, depend, impend, pendant, pendulum. All include this Latin root bend. Latin root, port. It means to carry. Examples for these days English words: comport, deport, export, import, report, support. Latin root, script, and script. It means to write. Examples for these Latin roots: describe, description, prescribe, prescription, subscribe, subscription, transcribe, transcription. All these include the Latin root script, which means to write. Latin root, tract. It means to pull or to drag or to draw. Example for the use of this Latin root: attract, contract, detract, extract, protract, retract, and traction. So you can find the meaning as to pull or to drag or to draw here. Another Latin root, vert. It means to turn. Example for this Latin root in English these days: convert, divert, invert, revert. It means to return, also to turn, maybe to change. Now, the following gives a list of Latin prefixes. Latin prefixes and their basic meanings. Latin prefix here, co, basic meaning, together. Example for the use these days: co-author, co-edit, and co-hire. Right? It means together. Latin prefix D. It means away or off, or generally indicates reversal or remove in English. Removal in English. Example for the use of Latin prefix: deactivate, debone, defrost, decompress, deplane. Right? Right. Right. Another Latin prefix: inter. So the basic meaning for inter, for this Latin prefix: between, among. The meaning or the example, the example for the use of this Latin root or Latin prefix, here, it means international, or the use example: international, interfaith, intertwine, intercellular, interject. Another Latin prefix: none. Right? Right? Right. The Latin prefix none, it means not. Example for the use in English these days: non-essential, non-metallic, non-resident, non-violence, non-skid, non-stop. It means not. Another Latin prefix: post. The basic meaning: after. Example for these days, we find it these days. Example for these days for post, which means after: post-date, post-war, post-nasal, post-natal. Latin prefix pre, it means before. Example for the use for this Latin prefix: preconceive, pre-exist, premediate, predispose, prepossess, prepay. Latin prefix re. The meaning is again or back or backward. Example for this Latin root these days: rearrange, rebuild, recall, remake, rerun, rewrite. It means again, to do something again. Latin prefix sub. The meaning: under. Example these days we find it: submarine, subsoil, subway, subhuman, substandard. Another Latin prefix: trans. Basic meaning: across or beyond or through. Example these days we find it: transatlantic, transpolar. All right, let's go to the next page. Now, words and word roots may also combine with suffixes together. Here are examples of some important English suffixes that come from Latin. Now, if we say Latin suffix means after the word, at the end of a word. If we say Latin suffix able or able, the basic meaning, if we find this, it means forms, adjectives, and means capable or worthy of. Example in these days: likable, flexible. Latin suffix ation. It means, or the meaning for the use, forms nouns from verbs. Example these days: creation. It means to create. Civilization, to make it or to civilize it. Automation, to make it automatic. Speculation and information. Latin suffix fi or ifi, or ifi. We see it. The basic meaning: it means to, or the use, forms verbs and means to make or cause to become. Example for these suffixes: purify, acidify, or humidify. Right? Latin suffix meant the use y forms nouns from verbs, making nouns from a verb. Example these days, we find it in English: entertainment. Right? Entertainment meant from the verb to entertain, up to here the verb. But if we add suffix meant as a Latin suffix, it's a Latin suffix, it becomes a noun. Amazement, statement, banishment. Right? Another suffix, ty or ty and ity. Why do we use this suffix? Forms nouns from adjectives, from these Latin suffixes. Example these days: subtlety, certainty, cruelty, frailty, loyalty, royalty. Right? Eccentricity, electricity, peculiarity, similarity, technicality. Yes, very good. So here are English words that we use every day here, and these English words have a Latin suffix at the end of these words. Now for Greek roots here. Now these roots are from Greek, not from Latin. Greek root, anthrop. The basic meaning, it means human. Example of this Greek root in English these days: misanthrope, philanthropy, anthropomorphic. It's used these days, but it includes a Greek root. Another Greek root, chron. It means time. Example for these days use: anachronism, and chronicle, synchronize, chronometer. All these include chrono, which refers to time and has the Greek root chron. Another Greek root, dem. It means people. Example for the use these days: democracy, demography, demagogue, endemic, pandemic. All these include them. Here you find it. So it refers to people. Morph. It means to form. Right? Example for the use for this Greek root: amorphous, metamorphic, morphology. It means to form. Another Greek root, pas. It means feeling and suffering, to refer to the feeling and to refer to the suffering. Example these days: empathy, sympathy, apathy, apathetic, psychopathic. Right. Another Greek root here, pedo and ped. So it refers to, or it means child and children. Example: pediatrician, pedagogue. Greek root, philo and phil. It means or refers having a strong affinity or love for. Example for the use for this Greek root these days: philanthropy, philharmonic, philosophy. So it refers to or means having a strong affinity or love for something. Greek root here, phon. It means sound. Example for the use these days: polyphonic. All right. Cacophony and phonetics. Right. Let's carry on. Here, Words and word roots may also combine with suffixes. Here are examples of some important English suffixes that come from Greek also. Right? We carry on. Now, Greek suffix now, at the end of a word. It's a Greek, not Latin. Huh? Here at the end of a word, ism. If we find it, it means, or the use because of, forms nouns and means the act or state or theory of. Example these days, criticism, optimism, capitalism. Right? So to act or to do something. Ist. It means forms agent nouns from verbs ending in IZE or nouns ending in ISM and is used like bus ER. Example these days, conformist, copyist, cyclist. Right. Greek suffix with IZE. The meaning forms verbs from nouns and adjectives. Example of these words these days we find formalize, geoparadize, legalize, modernize, emphasize, hospitalize, industrialize, and computerize. Another Greek suffix here we find gram. It means something written or drawn and also means a record. Example, cardiogram, telegram. Another suffix, Greek suffix, graph. It means something written or drawn, an instrument for writing and also drawing or recording. Example these days, monograph, phonograph, seismograph. Let's carry on. Suffixes, Greek suffixes, log or log. Basic meaning, speech or discourse or to speak. Example these days we find it, monologue, dialogue, travelogue. Another Greek suffix, logi. It means discourse or expression, or it means science, theory, and means of study. Example these days we find it in English, pharmaciology, and means biology, and means dermatology. Right? It is a science or a study. Another Greek suffix, meter and metri. The meaning is measuring device or to measure. The meaning for this suffix, spectrometer. Not the meaning, sorry, the use. Examples for the use these days. Spectrometer, we find it meter here, geometry, kilometer, parameter, and premeter. Another Greek suffix, oid. The use is for what, or the meaning, forms adjectives and nouns and means like, resembling, or shape forms. Examples these days in English, humanoid, oid. Here is the suffix, it's Greek. Spheroid, trapezoid. Another Greek suffix, phile. The basic meaning, one that loves or has a strong affinity for or means loving. Example these days, audiophile, francophile. Greek suffix here, phobe or phobia. The meaning is one that fears a specified thing, an intense fear or fear of a specified thing. Example these days, agoraphobe, agoraphobia, xenophobe, and xenophobia. Another Greek suffix, phone. The meaning is sound or device that receives or emits sound, or speaker of a language. Example these days, homophone, geophone, telephone, and francophone. Right? Right. Greek and Latin root words. Right? If we say the root, okay, we stop here and then we continue. Now here is the chart or the table as a conclusion for the Greek and Latin roots words, or Greek and Latin root words together in one table, in one list. Here is the root, here is the meaning, and here is the English word or words. If we say the root is ark, the meaning for this root, chief and primary or first. An English word for this, archetype. If we say the root here is archeo, it means ancient or primitive. English word, archaeology. The root is aster or astra. It means star. The English word, astronomy. The root is odi. It means here. English word, audible. The root bene. It means good or well. English word, benefit. The root is bio. It means life. Example for English word, biology. The root, it can be Greek, it can be Latin. Brev. Here in this table, it's not shown whether if the root is Greek or if the root is Latin. It's together here. The root brev, it means short, an English word, abbreviation. The root is chloro. It means green, and the English word chlorophyll. The root is chrono. It means time. Example as an English word, chronology. The root derm. It means scan. Example for an English word, dermatologist. The root is dic or dict. It means speak. An example for English word, dictionary. The root is fer. It means carry. An example, transfer. The root is fix. It means fasten. An example, affix. A root, gen. It means bird. An example, generate. The root is geo. It means earth. Example, geography. The root is graph. It means write. Example, graphic. The root is hemo. It means blood. Example, hemoglobin. The root is herb. It means plantus. Example, herbaceous. The root is hydro. It means water. Example, hydrate. The root is jar or just. It means law. An example, jury. The root is log or log. It means word or thought. An example, dialogue. The root is lock. It means light. Example, lucid. The root is mano. Example, hand, or the meaning is hand. An example, English word, manual. The root is meter. It means measure. Example, thermometer. The root is neg. It means no. Example, negate. The root is oco. It means eye. Example, ocular. The root is olig. It means few. Example, oligarchy. Oligarchy. We continue. Here we have more examples for the roots here we see, and the meaning here, and examples for English word here. Examples for English words. So it's as a summary or conclusion altogether, Greek and Latin roots, or Greek and Latin root words. Here, together, all of them, it's not separated. It can be Greek, it can be Latin. And here is the meaning for all of these words, and here is the example for English words that we use these days. Now here, this page, we have Greek and Latin prefixes and suffixes here, all together. Greek and Latin together, prefixes and suffixes together here. And here we have the meaning, and here we have the English word these days that we use, right? All together, as a summary, all together. Greek and Latin together, prefixes and suffixes together here. This is a prefix, this is a suffix. This is a prefix. Suffix, 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 prefix, suffix. Here is the meaning, and here the English word. Again, the same. Greek and Latin together, all together, Greek and Latin. It's not separated. And also prefixes and suffixes here. Here prefix, here suffix, suffix, prefix, and here suffix, prefix. Here prefix. When we say here at the beginning, that means prefix, prefix, prefix. But here, this is a suffix. It's added to the word. Dom, like freedom. And here prefix, right? Latin and Greek together. And here we have the meaning for these roots or prefixes and suffixes. And here we have the English word that we have these days. Right? Right. Again, prefixes and suffixes, Greek and Latin together. Greek and Latin. It's not separated. Prefixes and suffixes. It's not separated here. And here we have the meaning. And here we have the English word that we use these days. Right? Now we have a page for an exercise. Let's read the question. Give the meaning for the following roots. I'm not asking about whether if it is Greek or Latin, but I've just asked give me the meaning. You check for this root, agree in the charts or in the tables. You find its meaning, right? What does it mean? This root, agree, bio, psycho, terra, anti, hyper, micro, tele, bene, bio. I'm not asking about give me an example for the English word these days. No, I'm asking about the meaning. Give me the meaning for these words or these roots. Sorry. Right? It can be a prefix, these words. It can be suffixes, maybe. So graph, struct, anti, auto, X, neo, post, ultra, right? So here what you do, you write the meaning for these roots, okay? We stop here. After this exercise, we can say this is the end for this lecture. We stop here. Thank you very much. Good luck. See you inshallah next lecture. Thank you. Goodbye.